Hi there, it's Rubram Ganesha. Quickly, let me get to the point. Today, we are looking at data and its racist nature. Add to racist, all the major vials of society, like sexist, ageist, and all other things. When I was an Uber driver, one of my riders told me just how racist the American society is. She was a teacher, and she went on to educate me on subtle racism, and how the white man has the American society set up for his success in every nook and cranny. She continued to explain that from a certain book she read, which she suggested I should too, and I later did. The data shows that more black and brown people were locked up during the days of the drug war than white people, despite data showing that whites and blacks used and distributed drugs equally. What my rider didn't understand that day, was that there was a time I accepted anything and everything put in a book, or said on television, under the auspices of the news. However, as I read more and began to see that certain things are not really told truthfully, I walk around with a huge mountain of doubt for whatever is said. I always like to think through it all. Hence, like I said, I read that book. In that book, the writer presents a set of data showing the number of black and brown people locked up during the drug war. The writer also uses this as proof that the system has always been against America's minorities. There is also an addition that when an American politician campaigns against crime, it is somewhat a code word to white America, to beware of black people. It was a lot to take in. I began to wonder, should politicians stop campaigning against crime so as not to come off as racist? Should politicians offer to eradicate all our prisons to show their love for America's minorities? What the writer does not explain is the fact that neither the writer nor any other source offers data showing that white people distributed nor consumed crack at the same rate as black people, but were overlooked because they were white. Do not get me wrong. I am not saying that white people did or did not do anything. I am saying there is no evidence to suggest the position held by that writer. And this is how they get us all. A set of data is shown to support an idea they are trying to sell, and nothing else is shown. We are left looking at just what they want to show us. And they help us come to the conclusion they intended. Hence, it is easy to make a generation accept the notion of present-day implicit bias against blacks by the system. And though this is a position that can be argued both for or against, one would expect that if you were to write a book on this, at least, come through with some evidence. Here's what I mean. Evidence and numbers are very complicated. The fact that 10 soldiers were in the line of battle and we later find the bodies of 6, does not immediately mean the other 4 are alive. And it also does not mean that the other 4 are dead. There are several ways it can turn out. It could be the other 4 are really dead. It could be they escaped. It could be they were taken prisoners. It could be they were taken prisoners then killed. It could be they were taken prisoners and later escaped. It could be they were taken prisoners, escaped and then died. Get it? Take another example. If I said to you, that of the 7 billion people on the planet, we are sure that half of them can give birth. It does not mean that the other half have a medical condition that requires fixing. It could just mean that while half are women, and as such, naturally equipped to birth babies, the other half are men, and do not have the requirements to give birth. A little prodding into this data, reveals a lot more than a position that may initially be presented to mean bias. The intellectual giant Dr. Thomas Sowell, has done extensive work on things like this. On a topic of say success, for example, he argues that there are several prerequisites that must come together before success can be achieved. And that, in many cases, just missing one, or perhaps, not having enough of one, may result in total failure. Here is a couple of similarities in data that fail to present equal rates of outcomes. Humans and chimpanzees have over 90% similarities in their genetic makeup. Yet, it is obvious that humans and chimpanzees do not have over 90% similarities in outcomes regarding their immediate environment. While humans have built roads to ease travel, homes to protect from harsh weather conditions, research into fields like medicine, astrophysics and even other usable technologies like televisions, phones and computers, our genetic cousins still live in the wild, as beasts. Sowell even buttressed his findings with other findings from nature. For example, for a tornado to occur, several factors have to come together. Yet, 90% of tornadoes occur in just one country, the United States. Yet, there is nothing so unique about the general climate or terrain of the United States that does not occur elsewhere, but the prerequisites for tornadoes don't occur as well, elsewhere. Take another example, lightning occurs more often in Africa than in Europe and Asia put together, though Asia alone is larger than Africa or any other continent. This demands that when data is thrown at us, we need to prod a little more. Let's take certain numbers that are used by society to buttress the existence of systemic racism. It is often said that the average white family is richer than the average black family because of the heritage of slavery and Jim Crow. However, no one talks about spending habits. Nielsen, the marketing firm, in a research, found that the average black woman is more likely to own a luxury vehicle than the average white woman, despite the fact that the average black family has 1/10 the wealth of the average white family. This pattern repeats itself in other items like expensive clothing and jewelry. Now, though no one disputes historical challenges offered by slavery and Jim Crow, the point is that spending patterns today directly impact your wealth or lack of it, than how your great-great-great-grandfather arrived in America. And just before you doubt that, it is important to recall that Forbes magazine tells us that over half of the billionaires in the world are self-made, and 2 out of every 3 billionaires in America is self-made. No matter your views on this, it is important to look at things from more than one angle, or should I say, more than one interpretation of data. This is where true knowledge lies, questioning everything. So go ahead. Question the data that tries to force you to accept certain conclusions. Do your own research. Ask the tough questions. Be willing to sit down with the uncomfortable truths. Question everything. Even this video. Thank you for spending some time with us today. If you like what you've seen so far, please like and share, and please do subscribe, and hit that notification button to catch more videos like this. See you next time.